Video, I'm gonna talk about poverty and talk about like my upbringing and like how I'm still living in poverty. You can be rich, you can be rich in spirit. Excuse me, y'all know I'm coughing. Like, yeah, you can be rich in spirit, but be poor here in the physical. And I've been poor. I feel like I've been rich in spirit my whole life of me being here, but I've been poor on a physical level. On a physical level, and I'm okay with that because I come from a I come from a dirt road, literally in Mississippi. I was born in a small town. Well, I was born in Jackson, Mississippi, but like my family's out of Laurel, Mississippi, and Taylorsville, which is it's just poverty. And then when we lived in Laurel, we lived in the projects. So I was a baby. But coming up, so we left Mississippi, moved to Louisville, right? Like to Louisville, Kentucky. But living in the so-called ghetto, living in the hood, I thought we lived in a utopia because when you a kid, you're not looking at materialism, you're not looking at classism, you're not looking at the color of somebody's skin. You don't look at the world like that because as an adolescent, kids are still more in tune with the spiritual world. They're still more in tune with the astral realm because that's where you fresh out of. When you incarnate into a physical body here, you basically still fresh up out of the astral realm. So being a kid, you're not looking at a piece of paper or a big house. We lived in a rat infested house. We lived in a place called the West End. The West End of Louisville, Kentucky. It's like the ghetto. It's the hood. So we lived in the shotgun house. It had rats in it for a short period of time because we lived behind an alley. Like we lived in a shotgun house, but this shotgun house set behind like an alley that was full of rats, crack pipes, glass, trash. We be out back. We took a crate. I know y'all remember back in the day. We took a basketball crate and made a basketball goal out of it. But we just kids, man. We babies. I was about 5 years, 7, 8 years old at the time. So in my mind, we thinking this is utopia. We back there playing basketball on a crate. We running through garbage in the alley. We got rats in our house. I remember on Christmas Day. I will never forget this. My daddy, it was a dead rat inside of a mouse trap, one side of a rat trap. He took it and threw it out the back door. In my mind, I laughed at it. We was that damn poor. We had big TVs, the floor model TVs with antennas on it. I know y'all remember them TVs with the knobs on them. We turned them like that. It was just when I think about stuff like that now, I actually get happy. That's like good nostalgia for me because even though I grew up poor like that, and I'm still poor to this day, not as poor, but it makes me smile. I'm happy to the fact that I don't want to have a whole lot here because I know having a whole lot here, it entrap me here mentally and on a physical level and on a spiritual level. But most of society feels like people that come from so-called poverty can't articulate themselves. They're not. They feel like we're not articulate. They feel like we're not knowledgeable. They feel like we're not smart just because we live in a low-income area. But some of the smartest dudes I know come out of a low-income area. Some of the most talented people that I've met over in my life come out of a low-income area, so-called. You know, from the ghetto, girls dye their hair with Kool-Aid. Huh? Old women talk about their sugar levels. I'm telling y'all, man. Um, but yeah, some of the best memories, especially going back to Mississippi, during the summertime, you had Big Mama selling free cups. Like my grandma was the big mama of the neighborhood. My grandma in Mississippi watched everybody's kids in the neighborhood, even in the projects. Because my grandma lived in the middle. It was kind of like a retirement place. It was called Windsor Court, right here in the middle. And then on the left side, it was kind of like a neighborhood full of houses called Green Acres. And on the right of that, it was a place called Long Oaks Projects. All these places connected to each other. So when I would go down there and stay with my grandmother, I would walk to Green Acres and get a freeze cup. I go see my uncle. My uncle and auntie lived over there in Green Acres, but then I would walk to the projects, Lone Oaks, because my cousin's grandma lived over there, and I lived over there when I was a baby. We all lived over there in the projects when we was a baby. So when I was a kid, we would just go down there and we just run around down there. And I had some of the best time in my life. You had the candy lady selling cookies for a penny. She would sell these pinwheel cookies in a Ziploc bag for a penny. Then they had the freezer cups. You go get your fruit punch freezer cup flavor, grape flavor, whatever flavor you wanted. And these were the big mamas of the hood, of the ghetto, or the slums. But these was, I'm telling y'all, these were some of the best memories. You couldn't tell me I lived in poverty. You couldn't tell me we was poor. You couldn't come to me when I was a kid like they be like, hey, y'all poor, y'all living in poverty. I wouldn't have believed it. I felt like we lived in a utopia. I was like, man, this is like, you know, but you can't judge someone just this. We've been most of the people, most of the NPCs here have been indoctrinated and programmed into thinking that someone that comes from poverty doesn't know anything. They make you feel like you less than special, but no, man, wisdom, man. But yeah, those were some of the best times of my life though, growing up like that, man. And I'm still poor to this day. I have like a little bit of I have a house out in the country, but I still consider myself poor. I don't want to be rich here. I do not want to be rich here because I feel like that's why most of the people that maintain a substantial amount of monopoly money, they can't deal with it on a psychological level. They end up killing themselves. They end up being depressed. The more material you have here in this matrix, the more money you have, the more depressed you are. I'm telling y'all, because I worked around people that was like that. I cooked at a golf course. I know I mentioned this before on my channel. I cooked at a golf course, and a lot of these people come from humble. No, they don't come from humble backgrounds. A lot of these people out there grew up with a silver spoon in their mouth, so they never knew what it was like to go without. They never knew what it was like. They don't know what it's like to eat ramen noodles. Huh. They don't know what it's like. Your mama in there scraping and scrounging just to make sure that she put food on the table. So a lot of these people, I couldn't resonate with a lot of them, because they didn't come. We don't see things the same. Our perception of reality is different. But a lot of them out there, they will blame us for being poor. Why are they poor? Why are they killing each other, man? Because it's a systematic racism we dealing with, and it's classism we dealing with. It don't matter what color. When it comes to being poor, it really don't matter what color you are. Because I know some white people, even Asians, we all on the same level. It's just it's the way this government has it set up to keep the most of us in equality. This is a dualistic patriarch system they have set up. Anytime there's dualism, that breeds destruction because you have your have and have nots. You have your middle class and you have your poor, rich and poor. That's dualism. That's separation, and that's not good. But in all actuality, I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. Growing up the way I did, growing up poor and still being poor to this day. I own my own business, I'm still technically poor, but I'm rich in the spiritual. In the astral realm, wherever I go when I leave this body, I'm rich wherever I go because I came here. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't trade my childhood in for nothing in the world. TVs with antennas on them. Going to school with holes in my clothes. Kids with John on my clothes. Me and my brother's clothes. We was wearing hand-me-downs. We had holes in our clothes. I had holes in my shoes. But it was good. That's what I'm saying. That's why that's what I said when I went out to that golf course, started working out there. That let me see how these people really feel about us. How so-called middle class, upper middle class people feel about poor people, because like George Carlin said. He said the middle they put the middle class there. The middle class is scared to death of the poor. The rich is scared to death of the poor because they put us there to keep them. That creates classism. So they got us poor people here to keep the rich people scared. They scared to death of us because they can't understand that. They can't understand how can somebody live without a so-called big house? How can somebody live without a so-called driving a Lexus, Benz, or just having everything handed to you? They can't understand how somebody can just still live in that and just be happy and still be smiling. People living in shit huts still smiling. And they say, oh, people in Africa living bad. No, man, they living good. They walk around with no shoes on. They grounded to the earth. So everything we doing here is artificial. They doing everything the right way. So being poor in actuality is a good thing because you stay grounded to who you are. Because if you give somebody that's not used to having a substantial amount of money, $100,000, it would kill them on a physical and mental level because they wouldn't know what to do with it. They wouldn't know what to do with it. Give me $100,000. I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want $100,000. Some people say, "Yeah, I want the money. I want the money," but my way of thinking is different, man. I just don't need it. I don't want it. I can't. I could never be compromised for no money. I could never compromise who I am for no money, for any type of money, any kind of money. It doesn't matter. I stand on integrity. I stand on integrity. I'll never abandon those principles for nothing. I've been through so much adversity in my life, being poor, my family being poor, my friends, and we stand shit. Walk through adversity, stand on integrity, man. That's what it's all about. That's why I can never be compromised for no amount of money. 1 million, 2 million, 5 million, 100,000, none of it, because I don't want it. What's the point of being rich here in a physical reality, in an illusionary world? People say I'm a ball to our fall. I mean, we looked up because you gotta think though. Back when I was younger, we had the drug dealer music, and the movies we seen on television. We wanted to be the neighborhood superstar. We see Johnny riding with 22s on his car, on his old school, or on his Beamer. We see him ride through the hood. We like, man, shit, I want that one day in my life. I want that. So what we do? We try to go emulate that. We try to go hustle just so we can put rims on the car and just ride through our neighborhood, be neighborhood superstars. That's what we was programmed to do, you know. A program to sell dope, you know. But you can't look down on people just because they live in a certain tax bracket. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't trade it for nothing in the world. People feel like they need the money. I need the money. I need this. And you need money to survive. No, you don't. No, you don't. You don't need money to live here. They tricked us into thinking that we need material and we need all this nonsense to live here. Shit, give me lemons, I'll make lemonade. Real shit. That's what I'm saying. When I was coming up, you couldn't tell me I was poor. You couldn't tell us we was poor because we thought we was rich. Even though we lived in a shotgun house, we might have lived in the projects, we might have lived in a fucked up looking house, but you couldn't tell us that. We made the best out of what we had. You know what I'm saying? People feel like you need. That's what I'm saying. Here in this matrix is all about dualism. It's about classism. It's about half and half nots, and that's an unequal playing field, man. This place is an unequal playing field. How can you have billions of people on the bottom down here with nothing? So this money is made from paper, right? It's a piece of paper, right? So telling me that's what I need to like be somebody here, right? A piece of paper, literally. You need that when it comes to currency, and you need that when it comes to education. Just a piece of paper. If you telling the people on the bottom over here, the billions of people that don't have this shit, they need to have it to be somebody here in this illusionary matrix, then that creates a that creates animosity right there. And I'm not saying all people with money are bad. Man, fuck that. I'm saying, yeah, I ain't, nah, you know what? I can't say that because all the dead people be in the malls. All the rich dead people be in these high fancy, these high class shopping malls. All the rich dead people be driving these nice cars. That's what I'm saying. When I went to that golf course, majority of the people out there, or them zombies out there, were pieces of shit. They thought they shit didn't stink. They be on a high horse, but there was only a few of them that was like down to earth that I knew that came from humble beginnings. But the rest of them, nah, man, because they look, especially me. Let me tell y'all something that happened one time, right? It was this one guy. I ain't gonna mention his name. He owned a restaurant, right? He had one of the most expensive houses out there at that golf course. The house probably cost at least $2 million, at least. And this dude, he was so fucking racist during the whole so-called BLM shit, all that shit that was going on. He would come in there, he would come in there and eat. He lived out there at the golf course. I'm a cook in there, right? He would like come in there and say slick racist shit to me. And one time I went off on him. This guy had little dick syndrome though. A lot of these dudes that be having this money, they be having little dick syndrome. So he came said some shady shit to me. I kind of went off on him, but if it would have been me now, I wouldn't have paid him no attention because I know he was being an agent for the Matrix, and for two, I know black means the complete opposite of what we've been taught and indoctrinated with. So I wouldn't even pay him no attention. But back then I did. But that let me know. That let me know right there how they really feel about us. But this dude was miserable though. He had this big old $2 million house, but the motherfucker was miserable. His wife hated him. He had a wife. He had a wife and kid, right? His wife, from what somebody told me, he slept upstairs. His wife slept in the basement. That let you know he had a trophy. He had a trophy wife. His wife, $2 million house at a golf course, a beautiful golf course. $2 million house. His wife hates him. She's sleeping upstairs. He in the basement. From what somebody told me, right? But his wife was extra nice. She was cool. She was nice as hell. She was nice as hell to me. But him, piece of shit, little dick syndrome. But that's what I'm saying. This is how a lot of them felt about us out there. Like the people, not even out there, but a lot of them that live in these so-called big houses. You might be riding down the road, man. Look at that big old house. But you don't even know the half of it. The people that live inside of that motherfucker are miserable. They hate themselves. They hate their jobs. They hate their families. They hate the fact that they have to have all these bills. Because the more material you have here, the more money you make here in this matrix, the more of a slave that you are. Because you're gonna become so, and you're gonna be so worried about having to take care of your material possessions over your health. Some people, when they get all this money, they health decline. They health decline because they start chasing the money and stop caring about their health, their self-well-being. You think somebody making all this money a year, living in this big old house, worried about jogging, worried about lifting weights, worried about staying in tune with Mother Nature, worried about staying in tune with their higher self? No, they caught up in this illusionary matrix. So they're gonna be looking at you, somebody so-called living in poverty, like they better than you. That's how they literally look at. Some people literally walk around thinking they shit don't stink just because they got $100,000 in their bank account. That shit don't mean nothing. I'd rather have a zero. I'd rather have $5 in my bank account than 5 million, knowing I'm a slave and I done sold my damn soul. Now I don't have a soul anymore. Now I don't have integrity anymore. Now I don't have morals anymore. I don't have compassion anymore. I don't have stability in my life. I'd rather. That's what I'm saying. It's integrity over everything, man. This shit ain't about all that shit ain't about nothing. I've been there and done that. I've been around people with that shit, and that's what I'm saying. They some of the most miserable people. That's what I'm saying. When I lived in the hood, when I lived in the ghetto, when I was little, those some of the most genuine people. My grandmama, my granddaddy, my uncles, my aunties were some of the most genuine people. I think that's where I get that from. I got that Southern hospitality in me because I originate from the South. We just have that hospitality in us. We know we poor. We know we living in the shit. We know we living in a shotgun house. We know we living in the projects. But that still don't mean that we're gonna go against our morals. Nah. So I'm saying that's why. Cause I hung around my uncles. I hung around my granddaddy. When I was a little boy, I hung around my granddaddy. That's who raised me. My granddaddy, my daddy, my uncles. So I had that OG wisdom passed down to me at an early age. That's how I'm able to see. I can see fake people with my eyes closed. I can see fake people with my eyes closed. Literally, fake people. I can see bullshitters. That's why I was able to discern from who's who when I worked out there. When I started getting around these so-called middle class, upper middle class, rich people, I was able to see what they was on. I'm like, man, they some weird motherfuckers, man. They be having threesomes and shit with each other. Telling y'all, the wife ain't happy. She wanna have threesomes and all this freaky shit. I'm telling y'all, man. These people are not happy. Then think about the sacrifices they got to do. They'll say it to each other when they get mad at each other. I don't sacrifice so much for this family. Yeah, you don't sacrifice. What you done? You don't want against your integrity. You had to get bent over to get that nice house. What you had to do behind the closed, what you done behind closed doors. A lot of people they into shady doings in order to make it to the next level. They become a part of some shady shit. My manager at the time out at that golf course was stealing money. Was greedy as shit. I'm talking about greedy. Had everything she wanted. Had a camper, had a nice house, had a so-called nice family, had was making probably hundreds of thousands a year, but she would be in there like take like she was like the highest paid manager there, right? But she had girls like servers underneath her. So she would come in there and serve all the time just to make that money because some of these dudes coming in there, they be tipping $100 at a time. They be throwing $100 at these servers at a time. So she got so blinded by the money because I believe the money is the devil. The money is the motherfucking devil. You can't tell me no difference because I done seen a motherfucker that one song for the love of money. People will steal from them. That shit's true, man. That money can become the devil, man. So I seen people do evil shit. Like I said, that manager I had at the time, she did some evil and wicked shit to people just so she can keep her consumption going. Just so she can keep the charade of I got this nice house, this nice family. A lot of these people are fucking miserable. The husband end up being a pedophile. The husband might be a motherfucking pedophile. He might be a prostitute serial killer on the low. The same motherfucker, he might be a church family man. It's on going to church with his wife every Sunday. Whole time he in some freaky shit. He's watching some dark shit on the web. Cause they become blinded by the light. But that false light is that fucking dollar bill. You know what I'm saying? He might be indulging into some freaky shit. But you know what I'm saying? I seen this shit all the time. All the time. I'm gonna tell y'all another story. Boom. I was with my brother one time, right? My brother, he owns his own moving company. And we was doing a job. We was doing a job. We went like 2 hours away from where we lived at to do this job. He we pulled up to these people's houses. This house was a nice house. I'm talking about this house was big. This house had a cost area. This house probably was worth $1 million. Big old house. We sitting in the car, right? I'm telling my brother. I said, bro, I said when we get in here, watch the husband be sleeping in the basement and watch the wife be upstairs. I said, why? I said, why? I bet his wife hates his ass. I said, I bet he's sleeping in the motherfucking basement on the couch and his wife probably upstairs because they become so, they get this money, they fall out of love. They forget who the fuck they were when they didn't have it. So when you don't have everything, you don't have all this material and money that can, and if somebody else doesn't have it, that can make you all close. But when you start getting this shit, you start to separate each other. You start to separate from each other because your values have went down, your morals have went down because you have more material you got to keep up with. You trying to keep up with the Joneses. You trying to keep up with everybody else except trying to keep up with who you are. But anyways, we sitting in the car and I'm telling my brother this shit. I said, watch when we get in here, he gonna be in the basement. Cause he said, how you know that, bro? I said, man, I worked out at the damn golf course with rich people, with these type of people all for years, man. I seen how they live. I had a front row seat to how these rich people call live, and I seen that they not happy, man. They hate their lives. So we got in there. Look, we got into the house. We started moving them. Guess what? The husband was sleeping in the fucking basement. The wife was upstairs. My brother looked at me. He said his eyes got he seen a deer in head like, huh? I swear, I swear. We got back into the car. He said, bro, you was right. He said, how'd you know that? I said, nigga, I just told you. I've been around these type of people for years, man. I said I worked at. I said, bro, you forgot I was a chef at that golf course, bro. I seen how they was living, man. I said they hate they life. I said you might get on social media and see them. You might see them as a happy, go lucky family, but behind closed doors, man, there's some shady shit going on, man. I'm telling y'all. I told him that. And I shit y'all not, the husband was down. We went downstairs to move his shit out to the U-Haul. All his shit, all his personal belongings was in the basement. It's like his wife was living upstairs, he was living downstairs. And that shit just tripped me out, man. Like the fact that I just called that out of nowhere because I seen it. Money do not buy happiness. It only buys temporary happiness. You're only gonna be happy for temporarily. Say you want that new truck. That truck costs 200,000. You working hard to get it. You working hard to get that truck. You hustling. You hustling. You finally get that truck. You play with it because it's nothing but a toy. It's nothing but one big ass toy. These ain't nothing but toys that we have here in the physical matrix. It's all this shit is. It's like a kid. You remember on Christmas, as a kid, you begged your parent to get you that one toy that you wanted all year round. You want that toy all year round. You waiting to get it. Christmas Day, you get the toy, right? You open it up, you play with it for like 2 weeks. After that, you put the shit down. Like, man, I'm done with that shit because we have imaginations. We're spontaneous. Like you can't. They try to put a cap on how we think and our imagination. Even as being adults, as being grown men and women. So when you get like I said, being a kid, you put the toy down. So it's the same concept as being a grown man or a grown woman. You get this new truck, you get this new house. They ain't nothing but a toy. We live in a sim. We live in a Sims. We literally live inside of that Sims game. Huh. So when you get this shit, you get bored. You put the shit down. Like, man, what the fuck? What the fuck is this? Damn, I slaved my life out for 10 years just to get this truck. It's nothing but a toy. You get bored with it. Yeah, you might show it off for a while. After that, like, man, I'm done with that shit. You get rid of it. Because people know that this shit it's not about nothing. So I'm telling y'all, like, I had some of the best memories as being a youth, is growing up and growing up in poverty. Even when I became a young man, I was homeless for a while. So I'm saying I grew up. I was around some of the most humblest people, man. And I'm not ashamed to get on here and say this. I'm not saying go out there and just be all the way poor, but you can. You don't have to have a whole lot to be happy. You don't. I'm telling y'all from self-experience. You don't need a whole lot of money. You don't need. Women want jewelry. Women want rings, and some of these women are so materialistic. You don't need all that to be happy, man. They getting BBLs done to their body. They got us thinking that we need all this shit to be happy, and we don't, man. Motherfucking go outside with no shoes on and walk around, and you can ground yourself to this earth, and find you can just find peace. You can go off into the fucking mountains, off into the country, or even if you're in the city, you just be by yourself. And that can be happiness. Going on a walk can make you happy. It's the small things in life that are free, man. Us communicating with each other. That's happiness, man. So I'm saying the money's evil. How can some evil bring you happiness? A $500,000, $100,000, $1 million house is evil. $100,000 car is evil. Because then you're gonna be thinking that you better than everybody once you get this shit. You be like, man, I ain't fucking with them. No, it's people that literally. I'm gonna tell y'all another story. I got so many goddamn stories. I shit y'all not, man. I remember one time I went to somebody's birthday party, right? And I don't have a whole lot of material. A lot of these guys that was at this party, they had 4Runners. They got nice truck, nice houses and shit like that. So when I went to this party, right, it was a bunch of Caucasian people. Don't get me wrong. It was my wife's family. Well, not necessarily her family. Like it was like other people. So we went there to this party, and I don't have a whole lot. I don't have because they sit around and talk. They get in groups with each other. They sit around and talk about what they got all day and what they want to buy. They talk about their houses and shit like that all day. This is what they do when they click up and get into these circles. So me, they know I ain't got shit. So when I pull up, I get out the car. I'm walking up. They see me coming. They sitting around all their 4-wheelers. These and side by sides. Side by side is like it's like a small car. A lot of people ride them on these country roads back here, and these things cost like $10,000, $20,000 for these side by sides. So I don't have all of this shit, man. I really don't. So when I get to this party, they see me coming. They was all huddled up around their toys. They was all huddled up around their toys, right? So they see me coming, they walk off. They ain't even want to conversate with me because I don't have none of this shit. That's what I'm saying. This shit create this place is I hate this place because it's not the fact I hate Mother Earth. I hate this matrix because it creates classism. It creates materialism, man. And it creates. So I'm saying it creates dualism, have and have nots, and that I have somebody that so called have it looking down on you just because you don't have what they have. But in all actuality, you have a soul. You have I have intellect about myself. I have a know so within, so without. So I have a personal understanding on what I am. So I don't let shit like that bother me. The realest people to me is the people that don't have shit. Because I feel like I'm not saying everybody. I'm not saying everybody that have a little something something is like that because you still have somebody like I said that come from humble beginnings that remain humble. I know a guy like I said, I know a guy that lived in one of those houses. He will run around with Goodwill clothes on. His shirt cost $1. His pants, his jeans probably cost $2. I shit y'all not, but he was a humble dude. He was only like one of the humblest dudes out there though at that time. That's what I'm saying. And then I feel like we're pressured because our parents become agents for the matrix when we're young. So we pressured into living this materialistic lifestyle. We're so pressured into it because we grew up not having this shit, and then when we get older, we hustle, we hustle, we go work at these jobs just so we can say we got the shit. What's up, Melody? What's up? Thank you. Just so we can say we got it. Cause I remember I made a video talking about this. I'm poor and I'm proud. I remember being younger and my dad started like making a substantial amount of money and he moved us out of the hood. We lived in the hood for like all of our lives until we was like 14. Even still then well anyway, he started making a decent amount of money. He started working for these so-called millionaires. So he moved us out to like so-called I can't say it was the suburbs. We moved like to the outskirts of the city, right? So we living out here in the outskirts of the city. He's driving Benzes. He's driving BMWs. So me being a young man looking at that, and me and my brothers being young looking at that, I look up to my dad at this time. So, so I'm saying we get indoctrinated into this material lifestyle by the people we look up to, by the people we're influenced by in our lives. But that's done on purpose. That's to make us slaves to material too. So that's what I wanted the Benz when I got older. I said when I get in a place of my life I'm good. I want a Mercedes Benz because I want to impress my dad. I wasn't doing it for me because like I said, when I left my dad's home, I became homeless for a while, but then I got back on my feet. So when the first thing I did when I got back on my feet, I went and bought a Mercedes. I didn't do it because I didn't buy the car because I wanted it. I bought it just so I can please my dad. And I can tell y'all now, me riding around in this so-called luxury car, I was miserable. I hated it because it stayed breaking down. I never had any money to fix the goddamn car because it was so expensive. I hated it. I couldn't wait to get rid of the fucking car. I said, if people buying cars like this to impress, we buy shit like this to impress other people that we don't like, and these people don't like us in return. It's keeping up with the Joneses. It's the epitome of keeping up with the Joneses. A motherfucker will go buy a $500,000 camper. I got so many stories. I can tell you another story. This is me coming from the job. Before I started my own business, I worked at this little restaurant, and the owner and her sisters and brothers at this restaurant, they all got nice shit. She had like a $500,000 camper. But I sat back and watched because her sister has an $800,000 camper. So when all they was trying to keep, they was in competition with each other, y'all. These sisters, they grew up with they told me they grew up poor. They lived in a fucking trailer. They lived in a trailer. They didn't have a toilet. They told me we didn't have a toilet. We was poor as shit. The kids made fun of us in the neighborhood. This is what these sisters were telling me when I worked at this place. And then, like, this was 2 years ago. They started keeping up a competition with each other. She even told me, she said, I feel like my sisters are in competition with me. I wanted to be real and just tell her y'all in competition with each other. They would go buy shit just to keep up with each other. I would watch one of them go buy a camper, the other one go buy one that costs more. Or they would go on a trip. I bet you can't go on a better trip than me. Oh, you went to Cancun? Fuck it, I'm going to Baden, Germany, and take pictures just so I can show how I did it, just so I can show you how I outdid you. See what it does? You see what this rat race mentality? You see what this going nowhere rat race mentality gets us? This material lifestyle gets us. This dualistic lifestyle gets us. It gets you in competition with somebody that you love dearly growing up. Y'all growing up with each other, stomach touching y'all ribs. Y'all sleeping on a pissing mattress. You sleeping in you living in the ghetto. You living in the hood. You come from humble beginnings, and then you grow up and you start to compete with each other about material, man. What type of life is that? And I can tell y'all now, all these women that I'm talking about, all of them, none of them were happy. None of them were happy. None of them. They were all miserable as shit. You can see it in their face. You just written all over your face. They say the eyes are the window to the soul. These people look tired. They look depressed because you gotta think you constantly competing with somebody that you love, let alone your neighbor and your peers. You constantly just running your body into the ground. You gotta think what you're doing to your body too. That shit can become depressing. That's why I don't care about that shit no more. And that goes back to what I was saying about with me and my brothers. We started competing with each other. My brother go buy a BMW, put 26-inch rims on it. I'm like, okay, fuck. He went and bought a BMW. I'm gonna go buy me a Benz. Oh, he went and bought him an old school and put big rims on it. He got a big old house with a movie theater in it. Fuck it, I'm gonna go buy me one. I'm gonna go get me one too, just so I can say I outdid him. You see how we lose, and then we start beefing with each other about this shit because when we get together, that's all we doing was trying to show off our material to each other. I remember I can say we had like my family came up from Mississippi one time, right? We had a family reunion a few years ago, right? No matter of fact, I think we went down there to Mississippi because my grandma had passed. Rest in peace to my grandma. Rest in peace to my grandma. Her name was Muddy. She was the neighborhood. Like I said, my grandma was the neighborhood big mama. She watched everybody's kids. But yeah, my grandma had passed back in 2017. So we went down to Mississippi, right? So she could get buried down there. Because that's where I want to get buried at. When I ever do leave this body, leave the avatar, I want to be buried in Mississippi, in my home where I come from, where I was born at, where all my family's at. I want to be buried there, real shit. But anyway, we go down there, right? My brother bought a brand new BMW with big old rims on it, right? And then we got down there. My cousin had like a SUV, like a Suburban, because them country boys be riding big old Suburbans with big old rims on it. Crown Vics and shit like that with rims on it. So they all in competition with each other. My brother, they all wearing Gucci and shit. Everybody got sidetracked from the fact that my grandmother had just passed. They started talking about material shit to each other. They went to the mall. I didn't go because I didn't for one I didn't have the money, and for two I don't care about shit like that. That's what I'm saying. We always been in competition with each other. I don't even talk to my brothers like that now because we just so caught up in this money shit. Not me necessarily. Because I know if I go hang with them, it's gonna be about competition, about how much money you make, what kind of house you live in, what you have on your person, and that's just not how I live. I damn near done became a hermit. For real shit, man. I swear I have. I own my own business and all. Yeah, I do. I mean, I make decent money, but that shit don't mean nothing to me, man. Cause I know I want to make just enough now to take care of my family and pay my little matrix bills. But I don't want a whole lot now, man. I don't even want the car. The car I drive, the only reason why I keep it, just so I can keep running my business. If it weren't for that, I wouldn't give a shit about having a car. I wouldn't. I'll be forgetting to pay the car payment sometimes. Huh. I ain't shit, y'all. I had a I had a repo notice on my car a few weeks ago. Ain't the fact I didn't have the monopoly money. I have the money, but I just be forgetting. And the bill collector told me on the phone, "Is there a reason you ain't been paying your bill?" I said, "Man, I said I don't think about shit like that no more." That's how I told him. I said, "Man, I don't be thinking about that like that, man." And so I got the monopoly money. It's just I be forgetting. I don't be keeping up with this shit, man. You know. And then the motherfucking bill collector told me maybe you should think about working two jobs because he asked me what I did for a living. And I told him I don't answer questions. I said, I'm not going to tell you what I do for a living. I said, that's none of your business. I said, I want to pay my bill and get off this phone with you. You don't need to know where I work at. You don't need to know about none of my personal business. Maybe you should think about working two jobs. This is what the bill collector told me. And I started going off on him. I said, you a slave. I said, deep down, I said, do you pay your bills on time? He said, yeah, I do. Do you love, I said, do you like paying bills? Yes, I do. I said, you a slave. You don't even know it. I told the bill collectors this. I said, you a slave? I said, no. I said, deep down inside, you know you a damn slave. I said, how dare you tell me, you try to tell me to work 2 jobs just to keep up with this materialistic lifestyle. I just went off on them, and that was that. But that showed me that these people perception of reality is too far gone. Because when it's so hard to get out of that lifestyle. I'm glad that shit was never for me. I tried it for a small portion of my life. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna front y'all. But that ain't who I am, man. That ain't what I want. That's what I'm saying. Us living in poverty, we've been programmed to think that they'll get you. This system will get you to hate yourself. Most of the people I know that we poll are people that have less than me. They try to make us to where they try to make it to where we stay depressed, or stay angry at the fact. I know most of us know this shit's unfair anyway. This place is called the United States Unfair America. United States Unfair. Because this is a capitalistic, imperialistic, draconian, reptilian ran society that that deals with this type of life. That's keeping the poor and the so-called rich. But these people ain't really rich. These people are soulless. These people are spineless. These people, they'll do anything for a fucking check. They'll take the hot sauce for a check. They'll take an inoculation that's detrimental to their well-being for a fucking check, for a brand new car, for 100,000. I can't be compromised for no amount of money. They can't say, hey, Kentrell, Truth Zone, take the hot sauce, take the inoculation for $1 million. I tell them no, take that shit and shut up your ass, because I can't be compromised for this shit. Because I know where I know when I leave this body, that's really heaven. I don't want heaven here on earth. People want heaven here. They want a paradise here in the Matrix. You want heaven inside of hell? That's impossible. If you're looking for heaven inside of hell here, you're gonna end up. Let me tell you what's gonna happen to you. You're gonna end up selling your soul. You're gonna end up by yourself. You're gonna end up depressed. You're gonna end up miserable. What's the point of having $1 million house if you sitting in that motherfucker depressed? That's your casket. So you're gonna spend the next 30 years trying to pay for something that you can't own. That's why it's called a mortgage. Mort means death. Mortgage, morgue, all that shit means death. They got us chasing death. They got life. They got us. We come from life. We are part of a life force. We never die. We are eternity. Ain't no such thing as death. Ain't no such thing as an ending to something that ain't no such thing as an ending. Ain't no such thing. I'm an energy being, so I know I'm a ball of energy outside of this body. So energy can't be destroyed or created. So why would I want heaven inside of a place, inside of a system that's gonna come to an end one day? That's what I'm saying. If you're looking for heaven inside of hell, you're gonna end up selling your soul. You're gonna end up by yourself, man. You're just gonna end up assed out. This place ain't built on that. This place ain't built on principalities. It's not built on none of that. That's why we grow up poor, stomach touching our ribs. Shit, sharing a bed with 4 other siblings. We grow up, but some of that's like breeds good memories, But we get so indoctrinated with this false concept of reality that we gotta go chase the money. We gotta have this shit. We really don't need none of this shit, That's why I'm good with where I'm at. I might not be where I want to be at in my life financially, but on a spiritual level, I'm good. I'm okay with where I'm at right now. I'm in a good place in my life. I found peace. As long as I can stay in peace and stay grounded and stay true to who I am, to my inner self and my inner child. That's what happens. The money and the material makes us lose our inner child. People don't know how to have fun no more. People become tight asses. Huh? People really they become so tight. You lose track of your inner child, man. The inner child breeds joy. It breeds being spontaneous. It breeds having an imagination, being creative. They took our creativity away from us. So I'm saying they kill the inner child and turn you into a cyborg, a slave for materialism, a slave for their fucking, a slave for their paper money, a slave for their lifestyle. All their external pleasures, you become a slave to that shit because you lose. They cut your inner child off. They kill the inner child, and they breed some fucking some possessed zombie that's possessed by their possessions. You're not even possessed by your higher self no more. You don't have a spirit no more. You possess all by all this outside shit that's keeping you lost. I found peace because I'm in touch. I like to stay in touch with my inner child. You know, I just think about like, damn, I remember who I am. It's about remembering who the fuck you are, staying true to who you are. So that's what I'm saying. Poverty breeds some of the best mind. Like poverty breeds Einsteins. Fuck Einstein. Poverty breeds gods and goddesses. It breeds kings and queens. There's some people right now living in like in the hood and the projects, thinking that they less than what they are. In all actuality, you're a king, you're a queen, you're a goddess, you're a god. You should never think less of yourself because you put it. Because we've been compromised, and they got us living like shit on our own land. They got us living inside of these projects, inside of these fucking, inside of some of these concentration camps on our own land, living like this. No, man, we've been lied to. We've been lied to. So I'm saying, once you get the money, you don't even want the shit. Once you get that big house, you don't even want the shit because you're going to spend the rest of your life going to a job, working a job that you hate, being around people that you don't like. You're going to spend 20 years at a job doing some shit that you don't like. Having a big old house is like having an invisible gun to your head. Having a Beamer truck, having a BMW truck, that truck is that car, that $500,000 car is an invisible gun pointed at your fucking head. Because if you don't go work at this job tomorrow to keep up with this life, to keep up with your car payments, you lose it all. So it's the same thing as somebody having a gun in your head. Say, hey man, if you don't get on your damn knees, I'm pulling the trigger. So it's the same concept. You're gonna get on your knees and do what you gotta do to keep that $500,000 car, to keep that $1 million house. You're gonna be so submissive. You're not gonna be able to stand up on your own anymore. You're gonna be bound down. You're gonna compromise yourself on every level. That's why it's so easy for these celebrities to do it. They get a celebrity out the hood, used to not having none. What's the first thing that happens to him or her? They end up getting compromised for a check. They say, hey, you wanna make it to the top? You wanna drive the car that you dreamed about as a kid? You wanna live in that house that you dreamed about as a kid? Y'all remember that movie Richie Rich with Kevin McCulloch in it? We all watched that movie. We wanted that lifestyle. So they know a part of you, they know that person that's coming up through them in the music industry or the entertainment industry want that shit. So they can easily be compromised. Hey man, you want to live that lifestyle that you seen everybody else living as a kid, right? So you're gonna sell your soul. Just to get that shit. In all actuality, that shit don't mean nothing. That's what I'm saying. I wouldn't trade my childhood in for nothing. I wouldn't change the way I grew up for nothing. Grew up poor and I loved it. I'm still poor to this day. I'm not like sleeping on the sidewalk poor, but you know, I know if something happened to me, I'm one step away from the soup kitchen. One bill away from the soup kitchen, you know, and I'm keeping it a buck. I ain't gonna get over here and fake kick it, you know. It's just the truth, you know. I'm dealing with reality. This is reality for some of us, for most of us, you know. Some of us may have more than the others, but you know. But it's all good, you know. I'll never trade in my integrity for nothing. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I'm about to end it. You know, I wanted to talk about this a while back. I think I did a video about this already. Well, y'all can go back and watch this video. With that being said, I'm in the wind. I'm out.